everyone. I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar entitled Waterproofing Disaster Risk Reduction for the Rainy Season. But before we head on, let us first have our opening prayer and the singing of our national anthem.
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of the Lord. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank and glorify you for all the blessings you have given us today. We are here to ask for your guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to work together and encourage each other in excellence. We ask that we would challenge each other to reach higher and further to be at the best we can be. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, helas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagang tulog sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay tinatang tula, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magtitindig, luman ang araw ng walhaging pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya ng pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Good day. I would like to welcome you all to this event and Good day. I would like to welcome you all to this event entitled Waterproofing Disaster Risk Reduction for the Rainy Season. Environmental Engineering and Management are two of the 7 fields of specialization of sanitary engineering that will aid in risk reduction in our country, especially during rainy season. This event can equip you in your journey as future environmental protectors and future engineers. By utilizing our learnings today, we can be the hope of our country and the world in our own little way. On behalf of the Philippine Society of Sanitary Engineers, I would like to welcome you again in this momentous occasion. As what the great Dr. Stephen Strange said, study and practice, years of it. Stay safe and God bless. Years of it. Stay safe and
Thank you, Engineer Martin Corpus, for that wonderful message. Now, before we finally move on to the event proper, I would first want to thank our esteemed and amazing partners for making this event possible. Waterproofing Disaster Risk Reduction for the Rainy Season is co-presented by Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers Mapua University Student Chapter, Philippine Society of Sanitary Engineering Bicol Student Chapter. This event is in partnership with United Nations Youth Association of the Philippines Mapua University Chapter, and special thanks to Association of Geologists and Geological Engineers of Mapua, Philippine Society of Sanitary Engineers PSSEUC Student Chapter. Again, thank you so much to our partners. This event would not be possible without your help. Now, before we finally move on to the event proper, I would first want to share some important announcements. So, kailangan ko kayo guys na makinig dito ng maigi kasi para ito sa pag-claim ng ating free e-certificate. Again, please listen carefully since these are the instructions on how would you claim your free e-certificate. Simple lang ang dapat yung gawin. I need you guys to follow these 3 easy steps. Step 1, watch out for the special code that will be flashed on your screens because this will be used in filling up the post-event form. So take note that you really have to keep your attention and eyes open so that you don't miss the code. Step 2, you guys have to completely fill out the student evaluation forms. Take note that you have to save the document that you have filled up because you will upload that later on post-event forms. Finally, for step 3, you guys have to fill out the post-event forms. In the post-event forms, you have to submit the special code and the student evaluation form. So again, guys, to avoid confusion, let me repeat. First, you have to watch out for the code. Second, you have to fill up the student evaluation form. And finally, submit the code and the student evaluation form on the post-event form. Accomplishing the post-event forms with the right code and student evaluation form will secure you an e-certificate. Take note that the forms are available until 11:59 p.m. of this day. And of course, last but not the least, this event is worth 15 points for PSSE News applicants. So stay tuned, guys. So I think, guys, we're all set for this event. The rainy season is approaching. Rain has several advantages for the environment, such as watering the wild plants and crops, humidifying the air, and generating streams and rivers. A strong downpour, on the other hand, can result in a wide variety of risks, including flooding, loss of crops and livestock, and putting a risk to human life, as well as damaging buildings and infrastructure. With that being said, we are so blessed and lucky to have invited someone who can walk us through the disaster risk reduction efforts during strong typhoons within the Philippine setting. So our guest speaker for this afternoon graduated in Ateneo de Manila with a degree in psychology and master in arts for basic education. He is also a recipient for the Ateneo Eagle Awardee for teaching excellence and helped prepare waste management systems and infrastructure for Ateneo de Manila High School, including installation of a materials recovery facility. Moreover, he had gained amazing experiences in administrative work through special assignments as well as full faculty member teaching integrated science, earth science, physics, and disaster readiness and risk reduction. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our honorable guest speaker, Mr. John Gabriel P. Bilog. Good afternoon, sir. So how was your day so far?
Good afternoon, Felicity. I'm having a good day. Maraming salamat sa PSSE. Shoutout sa aking former student na si Andre Cayago for inviting me also in this event. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much sa pagpayag, sir, at may privilege kami na makinig sa inyo, sir. I'm really grateful po na nandito po kayo ngayong araw. Okay, sir, so I think our audiences po are very excited to hear from you. The floor is now yours, Mr. John. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Felicity. So, magandang hapon sa mga mag-aaral na nandito sa live stream na ito. So, I'm here today invited by PSSE to speak to you about risk reduction management for the rainy season. So, meron akong ilang slides ditong pinrepare sa inyo na pwede ko i-share na lang sa PSSE later. Okay, about the speaker. So, thank you for the introduction earlier, Felicity. So, just to add, no, my name is John Bilog, and a disclaimer, I'm a teacher by profession and not really an engineer. So baka hindi ko masagot yung mga engineering questions later, paumanin na lang kung hindi ko masagot yung ilang mga questions. Basically, I teach the science subject area right now in the Ateneo de Manila Senior High School, particularly the course called Disaster Risk Reduction, Readiness and Risk Reduction. And I'm handling the STEM students sa aming school the past years. So when Andre and si Charles Cordero was sharing with me that you are, there are a lot of sanitary engineers, I shared with you na meron din akong experience sa waste management program. So baka makatulong din yung konting sharing sa Q&A later on. Okay? So enough with the introduction. So, simulan ko muna siguro with the operational definitions. So, when we talk about disaster risk and risk reduction, it is very important na meron tayong malinaw na pag-intindi ano bang ibig sabihin nito. So, what we use in our school is called the UNISDR terminology. Ito yung United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction. So, meron ako mga ibabahagi sa inyong ilang mga terms na na-define sa document na to. And this is available online, by the way. No? It's for free. Pwede nyo i-download yan. So, disaster risk as defined as a potential disaster losses in lives, health status, livelihoods, assets, and services which could occur to a particular community or a society over some specified future time period. So, ang pinag-uusapan natin when we talk about disaster risk is a future probability to a specific group of people. So we can talk about itong subdivision na ito, itong barangay na ito, specific at saka komunidad. So hindi lang siya general, no? Meron tayong pinag-aaralan na community based on the conditions around that community and within it. And then when we talk about disaster risk management, pinag-uusapan natin dito ang systematic process of using, no, ano ba yung mga resources, skills, and personnel dito sa community na to in order to lessen the chances of a disaster occurring. So yung highlight ko pong term dito ay coping capacity. Napakahalaga po niyan sa disaster risk reduction. And then the other term is disaster risk reduction. Yung term na ito ay ibig sabihin the concept and practice of reducing disaster risk through systematic efforts to analyze and manage the causal factors of disasters. Keywords naman natin dito ay exposure, hazard, at saka vulnerability to again a specific community in a future time period. So yung mga highlight ko pong mga terms dito sa mga past slides ay pwede nating ilagay sa isang formula. So I mentioned earlier that disaster risk is actually the probability of a disaster occurring to a specific community in the future, and it is equal to the product of the hazard, exposure of that community, what makes them vulnerable, and inversely related sa kanilang coping capacity. So mga engineers, no, madaling makita sa formula na to na pag tumaas yung hazard, exposure at vulnerability, tataas din yung chances ng disaster. Ang gusto natin mangyari, tumaas yung coping capacity para bumaba yung chances ng disaster in the future. Now, in some cases, there's nothing we can do with the hazard. If you're talking about a typhoon, di ba, magdadasal tayo na dumaan sa mountain ranges yan para humina. Pero otherwise, ang kailangan nating tingnan ngayon ay what makes us exposed or who are the exposed elements to it, what makes them vulnerable, at ano yung available coping capacities ng komunidad na to para mapalakas pa at mababa ang chances ng disaster occurring. Okay, so punta na tayo ngayon muna dun sa isa sa mga variables, which is yung mga hazard. Napakaraming mga hazards ng rainy season. Pero siguro to condense this short webinar or talk, magfo-focus na lang ako sa apat. No? So tulad na na-mention kanina ni Felicity, of course, we have typhoons. And when we talk about typhoons, we are looking at yung malakas na hangin at saka yung mataas na rain volume. And then of course, kaakibat ng mga malakas na ulan ay floods. We will also briefly talk about mass movements, where I'm referring to mga landslides, mud flows, and of course, ang pinaka-obvious na threat natin ngayon ay biological. No? Meron din ganitong impact pagka tag-ulan. And I'm talking about viruses, the pandemic, bacterial infections, things that go with floods. So lahat ng mga ito ay pwede ring maka-increase ng ating disaster risk. So sisimulan ko po doon sa typhoons. No? Yung typhoons natin, may mga natural factors yan. Weather phenomena yan. Itong planet natin ay talagang nakaka-experience ng mga bagyo. At ang kailangan nating bantayan ngayon ay yung tinatawag na climate change. Napapansin natin na nag-iiba na, no? Pag kinumpara mo yung mga bagyo ngayon sa mga nakaraang taon, meron tayong mga nawi-witness na sobrang lakas ng mga bagyo. And a lot of that has to do with climate change. And when we talk about climate change, ayan, pinag-uusapan natin, no? Sinasabi na may mga activities tayo na nagko-contribute dito. So, ang bagyo kasi, ito ay way ng ating planet para mabalance ang ating atmospheric temperatures at saka yung water cycle na rin. So, pag halimbawa masyadong uminit ang ating atmospheric temperature, matindi rin yung balancing effect na gagawin ng ating weather systems para nga maging equilibrium ulit ang ating planet. So, our planet has been doing that for 4.6 billion years. No? Ang tanong, kung masusurvive ba natin itong pagbabalance ng ating mundo, no? Dito sa nangyayaring climate change. And right now, nakakatakot yun. So, hinihikayat ko na ang mga mag-aaral na mag-effort tayo na i-examine ang lifestyle natin that may be contributing to climate change. No? So, halimbawa, baka meron tayong mga activities that has a high carbon footprint. No, even yung pag halimbawa mahilig ka sa mga gadget, no, bili ka ng bili ng gadget, nakaka-contribute pala yan, no, dun sa process ng burning of fossil fuels. Okay, even yung mga deforestation natin, no, may mga effects yan sa ating environment. Farming livestock even increases yung ating yung carbon, no, yung activities, kasi pag nag-farm ka ng livestock, even yung mga manure, di ba? Yung parang kasi hindi naman ganyan naturally, pero pinagsama-sama itong mga animals na to para makapagnegosyo. So may impact din yan sa carbon footprint. Intensive agriculture, ganun din. No? So ganito yung mga factors that would play a role, no, na mag-contribute sa ating climate change. Okay, so meron akong special feature slide dito ng Super Typhoon Yolanda, no? One of the scariest super typhoons that the world has ever witnessed. So meron akong mga ilang statistics na ni-research at nilagay dito about how frightening super typhoons can be. No? So meron tayo ng mga category 5 sa pag-asa. So umabot ang Yolanda sa 315 kilometers per hour na sustained winds. Will we experience more of these in the future? The answer is yes. So kailangan mag-ready tayo dahil ganun na nga yung nangyayari sa panahon ngayon. No? Kailangan handa tayo. So we'll do our best to slow down climate change, pero mag-ready tayo sa ganitong klaseng hazard in the future. No? At last year, di ba, nangyari yung Ulysses. So parang may pattern na ng mga ganitong klaseng mga super typhoons that could wreak havoc and increase our disaster risk. Okay, so punta naman tayo sa floods. Doon naman sa mga floods, ang tinuturo ko sa aking mga mag-aaral, of course, we can categorize them. Meron tayo ng fluvial or yung may body of water. Halimbawa, may river, di ba? Or may estuary ka dyan. Pwede ring pluvial, which is independent from any body of water. It's an urban setting, kalsada. Pero dahil nagbara yung mga drainage, nagkaroon bigla ng tubig doon na malakas yung ulan. Pluvial ang tawag dyan, pag independent sa water body. And of course, you have coastal floods, yung mga malapit sa area ng beach. Kapag malakas yung mga bagyo, pwede ka magkaroon ng mga tinatawag na storm surge. Or sometimes, hindi bagyo, no? Baka tsunami na naging effect ng isang lindol dun sa karagatan. So pwede ring mag-cause yan ng mga pagbaha, mga coastal floods. So yung natural factors ng ating mga floods, of course, you have torrential rains, storm surges, high tides, soil saturation, even yung siltation ng rivers, no? Minsan pag nagkaroon ng yung nalagyan ng soil yung kanyang basin, naging mababaw siya. So yung next na malakas na ulan ngayon, madaling mag-overflow. Fluvial flood siya. And then of course, the human factors. These are things that we can do something about. Halimbawa, ang poor urban planning, mamaya may makikita kayo sa next slide, no, ng tinutukoy ko dyan. Pero ito bagay na bagay sa mga sanitary engineers. Mamaya we'll talk about engineering solutions, hopefully, no, sa mga ganito. Pero yung poor waste management is a big factor sa mga pagbabaha. No? Even if there's no body of water, pero dahil hindi maayos yung pagtatapon ng basura or yung mga drainages for this, pwedeng magkaroon pa rin ng mga baha, even flash floods. There are cases, lalo na sa ating bansa, di ba yung nagpapakawala ng tubig sa dam, no? Yung mga, yung sa Angat Dam, mag-overflow, or sa Lamesa Dam, or biglang kailangan magpakawala. No? Yung recent na nagka-problema, I think sa ano, di ba, sa may Isabela ba, or sa Cagayan, sa North, no? Yung nagpakawala ng tubig nung nagbaha just last year, no? Okay, and of course, siltation of rivers through mining and deforestation. So mamaya dadaanan natin yung mga examples na yan. Okay, for human factors na mention ko yung poor urban planning. So what you're seeing on my slide right now is a website called, yan yung Project NOAA, or Nationwide Operational Assessment of Hazards. Isa sa project ng DOST. Okay, and dito mahahanap natin yung mga flood-prone areas. No? So, itinuro ko to sa mga mag-aaral ko dun sa Ateneo Senior High School. Pwede nyong hanapin dito yung tahanan nyo. No? You can zoom in the map and check how flood-prone your area is. So, isa to sa mga coping capacities na pwede natin gamitin. So anyways, natuklasan ko dito sa Project NOAA Map, itong nakikita natin ngayon, ito yung Provident Village sa Marikina. And turns out na parang ano siya, no? Natural na waterway siya, no, ng Marikina River. So magtataka kayo, no, bakit ba yung Provident Village parang suki lagi yan pag bumabaha, no? Umaabot yung baha hanggang rooftops ng mga bahay. So it turns out na daanan kasi yan, no? Pag nagkaroon ng malakas na ulan, kahit hindi pa nga sa Marikina, kahit dun sa yung upstream ng Marikina River, no, sa Montalban area, nagkaroon pala ng malalakas na ulan, biglang umagos yung tubig, no? Yan yung nangyari nung Ulysses last year lang, na nagulat kahit sila Marcy Chodoro, no, yung mayor ng Marikina, parang biglang umangat yung tubig. Tapos yun, biglang nabaha itong mga areas na to. So ito yung mga examples ng pag sinabing poor urban planning, sana napag-isipan din yung mga ganitong bagay, no? Is it viable to build a subdivision in this area? Or natural waterway ba yan? Or baka dapat nilakihan yung mga estero, no? Yun yung sinasabi nung si Architect Palafax. Dapat daw yung Old Manila ay mukhang Venice, Italy, no? Sana pinalaki na lang yung estero para gondolas yung means of travel. Kaso ang nangyari, di ba, nag-urbanize, sinimento, nagtayo ng mga building, and then na-realize low-lying area pala, no? Pwede palang lumubog yan in the near future. So, may mga ganun tayong kailangan pag-usapan whenever we build community areas, baka lagusan yan ng tubig. Okay, so ito pa yung mga ilang examples ko ng poor urban planning. No? Halimbawa, yung topsoil ng ating syudad ay natatakpan na, no? Kasi nag-urbanize. So dahil nabawasan yung soil na pwedeng mag-infiltrate yung tubig ulan, ngayon mas kakaunti na yung pwedeng daluyan ng tubig, kaya nagbabaha. So kailangan makompensate to ng proper drainage systems. Kaya lang minsan basta gawa na lang ng gawa. So, baha yung nagiging consequence pag malakas yung ulan. Ito pa isa, no? Lumaki kasi ako noon sa Sampaloc, Manila. For those of you na baka nakatira doon, baka makarelate kayo dito. May mga barangay na nagpapataas lang ng kalsada. Okay? So, pag tinaasan yung kalsada, parang nililipat mo lang yung baha dun sa ibang lugar. So pag ganun yung nangyari, di ba? Poor urban planning yun. Para sana naman pinag-aralan ng maayos yung pwedeng daluyan ng tubig. Tsaka syempre halo na rin yan yung disiplina ng tao rin sa mga pagtatapon ng basura. Pero yan yung karanasan natin dito sa Pilipinas, no, unfortunately. Ayan, okay. O, ito naman, special mention yung Marikina River, di ba? Yung siltation of rivers through mining. Okay, matagal nang pinagsususpetsahan to. Napaka-advanced nung Marikina, no? Meron pa silang pang-measure nung bilis nung pag-flow nung Marikina River. No? So, sinusukat nila yung maganda. Yung flyover papuntang sa Marcos Highway, di ba? Yung malapit sa SM Marikina, may mga pangsukat kung gaano kataas na yung mga yung tubig sa Marikina River para meron silang early warning systems. So, yan yung mga yan. Tapos, ito pa, naging issue rin yung reclamation of land. No? Kung titingnan niyo yung mapa ng Marikina River, mas malawak siya decades ago. Pero unti-unting pinakitid siya dahil nagtayo ng mga developments doon sa lugar. But the thing is, si Mother Nature, walang sasantuhin yan. No? Kahit anong structure na ilagay natin dyan, pag gusto niyang i-reclaim yan, i-reclaim niya yan. So, nakikita natin dito sa picture yung nalubog na river park dun sa yung riverbanks area. Kasi nga, malakas yung agos ng fluvial types of floods. Okay, and ito, napakasakit sa ulo of course, no? Yung pagtatapon ng basura. So, ang ganda sana kung yung mga estero na may maintain. Kaso, usually, di ba, pag may mga estuary, pag may mga creek, lalo na pagka may mga squatters area, no, wala silang proper waste disposal. Baka nakita nyo yung mga nagbabara na, no? Di ba yung MMDA, hirap na hirap sa ganitong problema. Pero this is a big factor sa mga baha, sa mga, lalo na sa urban setting, no? Yung poor disposal ng mga wastes that affect our drainages and waterways. Okay, so here's another one. Ito yung minention ko nung kanina, yung Magat Dam sa Isabela nga, no? Yung sa Typhoon Ulysses, kinailangan nila magpakawala ng tubig, so na-affect yung mga bayan na dadaanan ng tubig. Hindi rin pwedeng sabihin na dapat hindi nagpakawala, no? Kasi pag nasira yung dam, mas malaking problema yon, no? Pag nag-crack yan. Yun yung tinatawag na catastrophic floods at mas mahirap i-manage yon. So this is a problem, no? Pagka kailangan magpakawala yung dam. So ang pag-iisipan natin dito, yung exposure. So bakit may mga community na natayo dun sa dadaanan ng tubig pag nagpakawala yung dam? So yun yung mga magandang palaisipan pag gusto nating babaan ang ating disaster risk. Okay, so, and then we have of course deforestation. So mula nung grade school pa, no, baka naituro na sa atin to, pero malaking bagay talaga yung mga puno. Sinasabi na yung mga trees help absorb water, no, yung roots nila. Pero at the same time, yung mga puno rin, no, napakalaking bagay nila of holding the soil together. Pag nakaldo yung mga bundok, doon yung makikita yung mga later on. Nagkakaroon na ng mga erosion, okay, God forbid, yung mga landslide, mga mud flow. Malaking bagay yung puno doon sa pag-prevent nitong mga hazards na ito in the future. So sana hindi rin umabuso, no, yung pagpuputol ng puno. Okay, special mention sa flood, of course, Tropical Storm Ondoy. Nangyari to noong 2009. So, I'm not sure kung ilang taon na kayo nung time na yun, pero baka naaalala niyo pa to, no? Baka mga, ano ba kayo nun? Baka grade school, baka grade 1 kayo nun. Pero na-shock yung, na-shock yung Metro Manila, no? Nung time na to, no? Parang wala tayong maalalang ganitong incident before it. Pero naghalo-halo yung factors dito, no? Poor urban planning, poor waste disposal, unpreparedness of people. So napakadaming casualties ng ating Ondoy. Okay? So by the way, no, merong nag-post ng question. So okay lang bang sumagot ng live ngayon? Okay? Sige. So hintayin ko na lang yung question. Baka may tuloy ko muna yung presentation pero baka may magtanong. Okay, so ang magandang nangyari dahil dun sa Ondoy, nung natapos na yung, nagsimula na yung term, no, ni late President Noynoy Aquino, so na-move ngayon magkaroon ng Disaster Management Act of 2010. Kaya rin meron itong DRRR subject ngayon na hindi ko inaral nung mag-aaral ako noon. Pero kayo ngayon, meron kayo nitong subject dahil yan sa Ondoy. So, and of course, yung mga iba pang mga sakuna nangyari. Pero yung nangyari yung Ondoy, na-move ngayon, no, na mabuo itong NDRRMC at siguraduhin na, no, na ituro bago makagraduate ang high school student. Kailangan maituro na itong disaster readiness and risk reduction sa mga mag-aaral. So, yun naman yung blessing na nangyari after na itong mga trahedya na ito. Okay, so going naman to mass movements, pinag-uusapan natin dito ay mga landslides, mud flows, of course, torrential rains, masisisi dito pag malakas yung ulan, pero halo din yung factors ng weathering at erosion, natural events yan. Pag lumindol, pwede rin magkaroon ng landslide pag na-loosen yung soil, no? So yung friction dun sa slope, hindi na niya ma-hold yung mga bato at lupa, bumagsak. And of course, volcanic eruptions, pwede rin yan mag-cause nitong mass movements. Pero meron ding human factors. Makikita nyo mamaya, i-mention ko yung sa mountain province na disaster. No? Kasi pag halimbawa nag-mining, no, tapos nabutas na yung loob ng bundok, magiging factor din yon dun sa pag nag-collapse. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, deforestation, yung excessive na pagpuputol ng mga puno. Pero anong pinakamatinding mass movement or landslide incident sa ating bansa so far, no? Tinuturing ito yung sa Ginsaugon landslide which happened on February 17 of 2006. So, ang nangyari dito, magkahalo kasi nung naggumalaw daw yung Philippine fault, meron nang na-trace yung mga scientists, no, na may nangyari dun sa mga bato dun sa area. And then nagkaroon ng malakas na ulan. At nung umulan dun sa southern Leyte na yon, yung nasukat nila, 751 millimeters in the early half of the month. No? So yung first 15 days, maraming ulan na nangyari. Nagkaroon itong landslide na ito. No? So merong isang buong town na nalibing dun sa ilalim. Patay lahat ng mga residents doon. Walang na-rescue. So nakakatakot itong hazard na to na pwedeng matrigger ng ulan at maraming ibang bagay tulad nga ng mining, ng paglindol. So these are things that we have to watch out for. Bukod dito, mas recent, nung 2018, October 30 sa Mountain Province, nagkaroon din ng landslide nung malakas yung ulan. At dito na pag-usapan kasi legalized yung small-scale mining. So, hinahayaan nila yung mga minero doon na, sige, kung may mahanap kayong ginto or isang valuable ore, pwede yan, ipaalam lang nila sa LGU. So, parang nangyari, butas-butas na pala ng mga tunnels yung bundok. Nung umulan ng malakas, nag-collapse. So yun, naging disaster siya, no? Yung Mountain Province incident no October 30, 2018. Okay, so to recap, ito po yung mga diniscuss ko sa aking short talk this afternoon. So maraming mga hazards, no? Hindi lang ito yung mga hazards sa tag-ulan, panahon tag-ulan, pero ito yung kung saan ako nag-focus dito sa talk na to, no? Yung typhoons, floods, at saka mass movements. Meron laging natural factor yan at meron ding human factor. Pero yung huling bullet point ko nung simula ay yung biological. No? So, meron akong special mention ngayon, of course, dun sa COVID-19. So, mag-iingat tayong lahat. Dahil ngayon, may natuklasan ng Delta variant, no, sa ating bansa. And pag-ulan, alam natin na ang mga virus mas madaling mag-propagate. No? So, mas ayaw nila yung mainit Pero pagka humid, halimbawa, no, madaling mag-travel, madaling makahawa, tsaka pag malamig yung panahon. So, kung hindi COVID, maraming iba pang mga sakit yan na pwedeng kumalat. Minsan kahit sore eyes, di ba, yung mga ganon, nagkakaroon ng mga epidemic. Pero right now, ang pinaka-immediate nating inaabangan ay COVID-19. It will be a big problem. It is a big problem in our country right now, lalo na kung kailangan mag-evacuate ng mga tao. Kasi pagka nasa evacuation center, hindi mo ma-assure, no, yung social distancing, even yung hygiene. So nagiging problema yon sa mga evacuation centers, especially kung itong mga tao na baha na yung mga bahay, no, kailangan nila lumikas. Tapos pagka nag-mutate pa, pag maraming na-infect at nag-mutate itong COVID-19, talagang magkakaroon tayo ng problema. Masusubukan ngayon talaga yung efficacy ng mga bakuna natin. Of course, sa mga floods, hindi lang COVID-19. No? Alam natin merong leptospirosis, no, na nakamamatay. So, pagka meron kang open wound na expose yan sa tubig baha, meron palang dumi ng daga doon, pwede mo ikamatay yan. Tapos matagal pa yun, no? Parang may incubation period yun. Kaya hindi mo agad matutuklasan. No? Kailangan pag lumusong ka, as much as possible, huwag ka lumusong sa baha. Pero pag walang choice, magpa-treat ka sa doktor, no, for possible leptospirosis infection. So may mga ganyan na mga problema pagdating sa mga itong rainy season na pinagdadasal nating malagpasan natin. Pero kailangan magtulungan tayong lahat. Okay? Of course, hindi tayo helpless, no? Dun sa nakita niyong formula kanina, meron din dyan yung tinatawag na coping capacity. Yung coping capacity, hinahati ko siya dito sa talk na ito sa dalawang aspeto. Yung isa, legislative. Pag sinabing legislative, ito yung mga kailangan maipasa ng mga batas at saka ma-implement ng mga naipasa ng batas. So ito yung sinasabi natin halimbawa na dapat merong yung NDRRMC, merong ganito mga protocol sa mga LGU, yung mga ganyan. Pero para sa inyo, gusto ko rin kayong bigyan ng hamon dahil mga engineers kayo. Naniniwala talaga ako na kailangan natin talaga ng engineering solutions. At ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay technology and systems. So yung mga halimbawang binibigay ko sa mga mag-aaral ko, halimbawa yung early warning system or may safety infrastructure ka dyan. Minsan mga innovations that can help in search and rescue. Or pag-aralan natin itong bagyo, like sa Japan, nag-create sila ng simulator ng tsunami, mga ganun. So hinahamon ko kayo bilang mga engineers na kayo kasi yung pag-asa natin, no, na meron kayong mga ideas na makakatulong sa lipunan natin that could help along these lines, no? Yung mga hazards na binabahagi ko kanina, baka meron kayong maisip din ng mga pwedeng paraan na makakatulong mababa ang ating disaster risk. So, nagsasaliksik nga ako ano ba yung mga current technologies natin na related sa rainy season ng mga hazards. So, pag sinabi yung pag-asa, gumagamit sila ngayon ng dalawang geostationary satellites, no? So yung geostationary satellite, ito yung satellite na hindi umiikot sa planeta, nakatutok lang talaga sa Philippines. Pag umiikot yung planet, sumasabay siya dun sa bansa natin. Tapos hindi natin fully pagmamayari ito, no? Nakikipartner tayo sa Japan at saka sa Korea. So, itong mga satellites na to, nakakreate siguro ng computer system, no, para ma-access natin yung data na nakukuha nitong dalawang satellites na to. So, pinipicturean nila. There's a certain time frame, no, pinipicturean nila yung ating planet. Tapos, pag nakuha ng ating meteorologists yung mga photos na to, meron silang weather map, kinukumpara nila ngayon, no, yung mga litrato. Tapos, tinitingnan nila yung pattern. Yun yung expertise nila, no? Tapos pino-forecast nila ngayon kung anong mangyayari sa mga susunod na oras. Hindi madali ito, no? Kadalasan nagagalit yung taong bayan pag mali yung forecast. Pero mahirap ang trabaho ng meteorologist. So ito yung technology na meron tayo ngayon. So kayo baka meron din kayong maisip later on, no? Makatulong. Okay, bukod doon, meron tayong mga Doppler radar, no? Ito yung mga pwedeng sumukat ng wind speed at saka ng amount of rainfall. So meron din tayong ganitong ginagamit. Nandito na yan sa loob ng planet, no? Hindi siya satellite. So meron ding ganitong technology na ginagamit ngayon. Yung binahagi ko sa inyo kanina, ito yung website na yun, no? Okay, pwede nyo checkin yan. Yung Project NOAA. Tapos hanapin nyo yung mga tahanan nyo, no? Pwede nyo i-click dyan kung ano yung kanyang pagiging flood prone, at saka may mga iba pang features yung mga landslide, yung mga meron ding mga ang galing na tong technology na to, sana masuportahan to, project ng DOST, no? Tsaka meron din yata to sa University of the Philippines, no, kanilang yung mga scientists nila. Ayan, ganyan yung itsura niya, no? Pagka kinlik niyo yung website, pwede niyo hanapin yung lugar ninyo. Pag kulay red siya, ibig sabihin mataas yung pagiging flood prone niya. Pagka orange, medium. Pag yellow, low. Pag walang kulay, nasa mataas na area ka. So, hindi masyadong bahain yan. Okay, so we're now approaching, ito na yung mga last parts ng aking presentation. I-highlight ko rin dito yung tinatawag nating 17 Sustainable Development Goals. When we talk about itong risk management, we're not just talking about yung mga disaster events. We're talking about a lot of societal issues that we need to deal with and propose solutions to. So halimbawa dito na-highlight na dito sa yung SDG goals ang tawag nila. No poverty, okay, zero hunger, good health and well-being. So hina-highlight ko sa mga mag-aaral ko yun Pag meron bang disaster risk, sino ba yung pinaka-exposed? Okay? Yung sagot sa tanong na yun, laging yung mahirap di ba? Kasi yung mga mahihirap, sila yung kulang sa resources, hindi maayos yung tirahan. So we need to talk about that issue as a whole, no, yung poverty. Tulungan natin sila, hindi lang sa panahon ng sakuna. Tulungan natin sila, period, para maangat sila sa kahirapan. Dahil hanggat nandun sila sa kahirapan na yun, tuwing merong hazard, whether it's typhoon, flood, landslide, COVID-19, sila lagi yung pinaka-expose. Sila lagi yung mataas yung disaster risk. So, kailangan meron tayong mga malinaw na long-term solution, hindi lang sa disasters, kundi sa poverty mismo. Yung mga iba pang halimbawa dito, yun na-mention ko earlier, climate action, okay, life on land, life below water, kailangan natin pangalagaan lahat yan para mababa ang ating disaster risk. So hindi siya simpleng problema, no? Maraming, kumbaga yung halimaw, maraming ulo, kailangan maputol lahat yan, kailangan makalaban natin lahat yan, kailangan magtulungan. So magandang palaisipan to every time we talk about itong disaster risk management. Okay? So as a closing slide, meron ako mga ilang points for reflection dito. Sa pagpapasalamat din sa inyo at sa PSSE. So una, we are all accountable for our safety. Making informed and responsible choices, beginning with the most simple matters of each day, lowers disaster risk significantly. So bago tayo mag-isip ng mga big solutions, mag-reflect din tayo sa sarili nating buhay. Yung mga maliliit na bagay na ginagawa natin, may impact yan kahit hindi natin nakikita. So ano ba yung ginagawa nito sa ating disaster risk? Baka mamaya may blind eye tayo sa sarili nating lifestyle. No? Mahilig tayong magpuna sa gobyerno. Ito, mali. Pero ikaw pala, ang laki nung gine-generate mong basura na hindi naman nare-recycle. Yung mga ganun. So, baka may impact yan. Maganda rin mag-reflect dun sa mga little things we do each day. Pangalawa, cooperate and coordinate with the local and national government, especially in times of emergency. No? So, kailangan natin talaga magtulungan. Kailangan natin makisama. Ngayon, naniniwala ako nasa panahon ng digmaan tayo dahil COVID-19, parang pinahirap niya lahat ng bagay. And yet, nandito pa rin yung mga bagyo, nandito pa rin yung mga baha. So parang lumevel up yung ating mga problema. Kailangan lumevel up din yung coping capacities natin. So we need to cooperate and coordinate with our local barangays and instructions from the national government. Number 3, kayo ang pag-asa, no, ng ating bansa. Yung ideas nyo, yung hard work, yung inyong pakialam, no, sa atin, sa ating planeta, madedetermine ito kung mabubuhay tayo o hindi. At anong magiging buhay natin sa hinaharap. No? I cannot understate that enough or overstate that enough. Na kayo talaga yung pag-asa ng ating bansa. So sana huwag kayong susuko kahit na mahirap yung sitwasyon dahil umaasa din kami sa inyo. Let's do our best finally and let God do the rest. No? So lagi ko sinasabi sa mga mag-aaral ko yan, there's no such thing as a natural disaster. Kasi pag sinabi mong natural disaster, parang inamin natin na naturally occurring siya. Pero in reality, hindi. Kasi laging may mga decision tayong pwedeng gawin that will lower our disaster risk. Pero pagdating ng sakuna, tulad ng Yolanda, ng Ondoy, ng Ulysses, o kung ano man na haharapin natin in the future, pagtitiwala tayo sa Diyos talaga. We will do our best. Pero yung resilience natin ay nakasalalay din sa Panginoon. No? Kailangan maniwala tayo that there's a higher power that's going to help us, no? Who's present, who's there for us. Lalong lalakas yung loob natin. No? Hindi kaya to kung skills lang natin. Hindi kaya. Kailangan natin ng higher power, lalo na sa mga panahon. So with that, gusto ko magpasalamat ulit sa inyo. I'll turn over ulit sa ating si Felicity, ang ating host. So maraming salamat at God bless.
Wow! Thank you, Mr. John, for that very wonderful and enlightening presentation. Personally, na-remind po ako, sir, na we really need to take action and we should reflect on our own. Hindi pwedeng po na lang sa gobyerno, hindi rin pwedeng po na lang sa mga local government units, but we really should reflect on ourselves. So, sa mga nanonood po ngayon, I'm challenging all of you to be vocal on the issues kasi a lot of people want to change, pero kakaunti lang talaga yung gustong gumawa ng action to make a change. So thank you, Mr. John, for that presentation. Ang dami kong natutunan and marami palang factors nagko-contribute sa flood. Hindi lang siya, kumbaga, natural. Meron talaga siyang human factors. And I'm certain that our viewers learned a lot from you on how can we alleviate our disaster risk reduction efforts. Pero baka may mga questions ang mga viewers natin para sa'yo, Mr. John. So we will now be having our open forum. So our viewers, please leave your question in the comments and we will be trying to accommodate them later. So while we wait for the audience to comment down their queries, I have my own personal questions for you, Mr. John. Mga 2 questions lang naman. So yung first question ko pa is, since, sir, you are not an engineer, sabi niya po you are a teacher by profession, I'm curious po kung in what way po kayo nakatulong sa mga projects, katulad po ng waste management system, since isa po sa mga nagko-contribute sa flooding is yung waste management. So I'm curious so paano po kayo nakatulong sa project na yun?
Okay, thank you for the question, Felicity. Na-realize ko dun sa karanasan ko dun sa waste management, hindi pala siya simple, no? Kasi yung school namin, before we started studying it, parang ginagawa lang is mag-segregate. And then sasabihin, ito yung nabubulok, ito yung di nabubulok. Pero meron palang mga mas malalim na mga katanungan kailangan sagutin. Halimbawa, sino yung nagkokolekta ng basura? Pag kinolekta ba niya, hinahalo din niya? O meron siyang segregation scheme? Meron ba siyang kinokontak na recycler talaga? Saan talaga napupunta yung basura? So yun yung mga questions. So ang natuklasan ko nung time na yun, when I was heading that committee, yun palang collector namin, hinahalo din niya. No? Tapos pag hinalo niya yung basura, apparently dun sa dump site, they throw it sa San Mateo pa nung time na yun. Meron talagang taong nagtatrabaho para i-segregate yun. Tapos sinasabi niya sa akin na nawala ng trabaho yun pag sinegregate nyo na. So sabi ko, wow, ano pala yan? Hindi pala simpleng pagsisegregate. We're talking about people having livelihoods affected. Kaso ang concern namin as a school, we want to be responsible in our waste disposal. So paano yun? So ang nangyari, I had to nagpabid kami ulit. No? So we had to replace our contractor. So I was able to get a contractor based dun sa naging bidding system namin, na meron talaga siyang system. Tapos yung system niya, nagpagawa kami ng materials recovery facility that students can actually see and visit. Tapos nakikita talaga ng mga bata, okay, meron talagang sistema. Hindi lang yan inutos ng mga teacher. Hindi lang yan parang environment campaign. The trash is actually going to a recycling plant. So kailangan ko talaga i-segregate to. So yung mga ganung pag-instill ng habits, supported by an infrastructure that actually does the recycling and does the segregation, naging crucial siya dun sa pagkakaroon nitong system. Pero I'm not saying na na-solve namin yung problem. It's still an uphill climb hanggang ngayon, no? So that was 2004, 2005 pa yun eh. Pero hanggang ngayon, na-realize namin, hindi pala madali, no? Especially nung na-develop itong throwaway culture. Meron kang mga estudyante na bibili ng gadget, after a few months, may bagong gadget, so gusto ko nang bilhin yun. So, di ba? Ang dami palang factors. Kaya, being a waste management committee head or chairman ng time na yun, these were the questions that we answered. It's not as simple as segregating trash. It's about looking at those factors that play a role. So, kailangan talaga maaral mo lahat yon. Tapos, tsaka ka magpo-propose ng, so ano yung solution ngayon? What's our next step? So, I'm thinking ganun din, no? Even on the city level, maraming underlying issues. No? Hindi siya kasing simple na, kasi wala siyang disiplina. Baka meron iba pang mga problemang kailangan tingnan.
Thank you, sir. So, personally, yung natutunan ko doon is, hindi lang dapat tayo tumitingin sa pinaka-leader, pero dapat tinitignan natin in every aspect yung role ng mga tao. Kasi marami nakaka-contribute yun sa problem and as well sa solution. So, let's move on po sa mga questions ng mga viewers. So, here is the first question po. First question daw po, sa tingin niyo po ba ma-achieve natin by 2030 yung sustainable goals with regard to climate change?
Okay, yung gusto kong sagot eh. Gusto ko sagutin na yes. Siyempre gusto ko maniwala. I also want to stay hopeful. Although looking at the pattern now, hindi ko maiwasan din na magkaroon ng mga doubts. So, hindi ako magsisinungaling na alam na na-frustrate ako pag halimbawa pina-prioritize ngayon yung campaigning for elections. Okay, maganda yung sinabi ni Felicity kanina, we have to be responsible as citizens. Pero kailangan din yung government natin ay makikita rin natin na talagang may mga solutions sa papunta sa direction na yun. Tapos gusto ko maniwala na yes. Pero hinahamon ko rin yung mga kabataan, no? Kung hindi kayo agree, lumaban kayo. Huwag kayong pumayag na hindi ma-achieve to ng 2030. Kailangan ma-achieve to. I think that's the better answer. We have to. Kasi if we don't reach the sustainable goals by 2030, natatakot ako kung anong itsura ng mundo by that time. So baka grabe na yung mga na-experience nating bagyo dahil sa climate change. Baka lumubog na ang ilang regions, no, sa ating bansa by that time dahil natutunaw ang polar caps. So I think the answer to question 1 is we have to. Wala tayong ibang choice. Kailangan ipaglaban natin yan.
Thank you, sir. At these times na masyado na talaga malaki yung problema, dapat wag na tayo mag-back out, but be hopeful and be vocal. So yung mga nanonood ngayon, I'm challenging you again to be vocal with the problems that we are having right now. So for the second question po is, sir, paano po ba daw naaawat yung mga taong mahilig magpatayo ng subdivision?
Okay, yung question 2, I think nandun yan sa yung legislative solution. No? So hindi siya engineering solution. Kasi yung pagpapatayo ng subdivision, ina-approve yan on many levels, di ba? Yung local government mo, ginaw yan eh. So ina-assume natin na pag nagpatayo, pinag-aralan yung environmental factor na sana yung pagpapatayo na yan, hindi niya ma-affect yung ecosystem sa paligid na may drastic disaster risk na magre-result. Or baka yun mismong mga nakatira sa subdivision na yun are at risk kasi hindi dapat nagpagawa ng subdivision doon. Pero yung tanong na paano maaawat, that's a legislative issue. So kailangan natin ng hindi corrupt na mga government officials who will put their foot down. Nasasabihin nila na hindi tamang magpagawa dito kasi may epekto dun sa lugar, 'di ba? Maghanap na lang tayo ng ibang lugar. So, yun yung sagot ko po sa question 2.
Thank you, Sir John. Natutunan ko dito is kailangan talaga natin magparehistro ngayon, lalong-lalo na yung mga hindi pa nakapagrehistro at 18 years old na pagdating sa September. So that masolusyonan natin yung malaking problema na hinaharap natin ngayon. So for question number 3, sir, na-mention niyo po daw yung about sa urban planning. Pero sir, based sa Build program, parang ang focus lang po is yung mga transportation. Pero since mas dumadami yung kalsada, nag-i-invite pa po ng mas maraming tao sa rural areas. Hindi po ba dapat na ready na yung master plan ng certain community bago mag-invite ng tourists through improved transportation?
Okay, thank you, Felicity. Yung question number 3, parang rhetorical sa akin yan eh. Kasi yung obvious answer to that is yes. Na hindi ka sasabi ng no dyan. I'm not gonna pretend na alam ko yung mga efforts to sa Build program. Ang alam ko lang, they're really focusing on boosting the economy. Gusto nila kasi na umangat pa yung ekonomiya ng bansa natin. Pero yung sagot sa question na ito, syempre kailangan talaga ng master plan. In fact, a big question right now sa akin is the COVID pandemic situation. Hindi pa natin alam when this will end. Mag-i-invite tayo ng tourists. Hindi pa nga tayo sure do sa border control ngayon eh. Kasi may Delta variant na kumakalat. What if hindi pa matapos tong pandemya na to this year? I'm praying it does. Pero what if hindi? What if magkaroon na naman ng panibagong outbreak na hindi natin alam? So yung master plan na to, it's not just about inviting tourists, pero about being ready in case another pandemic happens. So kung magkakaroon tayo ng build, I really want the economy to be boosted. And of course, for traffic to minimize. Pero dapat din masagot yung questions about yung current situation natin, yung sa healthcare. Kaya ako medyo na-frustrate eh. Kasi ngayon, yung priority parang anti-terrorism. So sabi ko, okay, that's good. Pero ano yung game plan sa healthcare? Diba? Right now, daming hindi pa nababakunahan. I hope mabakunahan na kayo soon. No? Ako, nag-iintay pa ako ng bakuna. So parang sana may game plan din doon. Pero dahil nandito na to, itong build program, tinutuloy na nila. So ako, my answer to that is of course, yes, dapat ready yung master plan ng community bago mag-invite ng tourists, particularly because of the pandemic. So I don't think we're ready to just say na, oh, may kalsada na, pasok kayo dito para pumasok yung mga investments. Iisipin mo what if mag-spread na naman to o maraming mamatay, mag-outbreak. So dapat may kaakibat siyang healthcare system din. So I really hope yung government has a game plan on that. Kasi right now, hindi ako confident. So ito yung mga dapat ipaglaban din natin. No? So okay ang build. Pero paano yung mga doktor na nahihirapan kasi nagsusurge na ngayon sa mga ospital? Di ba yung mga ganun? So, kailangan din ng game plan doon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Napakalaki talaga ng indication ng economy and yung business. Pero ang napaka-importante rin is we should look at the other aspects katulad ng healthcare, yung poverty, yung environment as well. So, yung next question, sir, is, sir, do you think na dapat po na-establish natin yung PhilSA, which is yung Philippine Space Agency, sooner para mas ma-better observe yung country po natin in terms of weather forecast?
Maganda yung question na to. Kasi recently, while I was preparing the slides, meron ako na-research na merong mga Pinoy na nakagawa na ng microsatellite. Di ba? Yung Diwata 1 and Diwata 2. Parang sila may pangalan pa yung team nila parang Magnificent 9. Di ba? So I'm really hoping na makabilang kayo sa ganun in the future. So what they did, they were able to make a microsatellite na yung Diwata 1 and Diwata 2. Hindi siya for weather forecasting, pero na-launch siya sa space, no? Nakipartner tayo with Japan. Tapos na-launch na siya. Yung Diwata 1, I think, decommissioned na. I'm not sure yung Diwata 2. Pero nakatake sila ng pictures ng buong planet. Umikot siya, no? Hindi siya geostationary. So what does that tell me? It tells me that we are ready. No? Kayong mga mag-aaral, kaya niyong gawin to. So my answer to this question is yes. No? Sana ma-establish na ito. Dahil sa tingin ko may kakayahan kayo na gawin ito. Ang medyo ko lang ngayon, yung agam-agam ko is yung prioritization sa budget. Kasi this will cost a lot. At saan napunta yung budget natin bukod sa anti-terrorism? Di ba? Napunta sa yung mga build. Mukhang malaki yung inutang din natin, no? to make these things. So this will entail a lot of money. So, right now, nakikipartner tayo with other countries. Pero sa tingin ko, ability-wise, kaya nyo na eh. I think you're ready. So, sana. My answer is yes. Sana mag-prioritize din ng budget for this kind of effort dahil capable ang Pilipino. Capable tayong gawin ito. So, salamat po.
Wow, narinig niyo yun, guys. Sabi ni Sir na we are really capable. Capable yung mga Pilipino. Wag natin kumbaga i-condescend yung mga kakayanan natin as a student or even someone who's just a normal person. Lahat tayo may contribution to the solution. So for the next question, sir, coping capacity as a community plays a big role sa equation ng disaster risk. But in our context, the resilience of the Filipinos are often romanticized. What are your thoughts on this recurring phenomena po?
Question number 5, this is a very good question again. The number one trait na dinidevelop namin sa DRRR is resilience. So tama yung insight nung nagtanong dito na parang romanticized yung resilience ng mga Filipinos. My answer to this is, the problem is mali ang understanding natin kung ano ang resilient. By definition, how we define resilience sa DRRR, we use the Sendai framework na release in 2015. Yung term na ginagamit ko sa class ko is to build back better. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Pag meron kang bahay na salanta ng bagyo, hindi ka kagad susuko. gagawa ka ngayon ng bagong bahay. Tapos yung bago mong bahay, hindi na ngayon mabubuwag pag dumating ulit yung bagyo. So ibig sabihin, you build back better. So it applies to many things, no? Hindi lang sa mga physical structures, even yung lakas ng loob mo, yung tapang mo, parang what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Tapos yung keyword dyan, yung stronger, mas resilient ka na. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka na mabubuwag pag bumalik ito next time. Ano nangyayari sa mga Pilipino, di ba? Pag halimbawa, yung bahay, mga squatters area, hindi sila dapat nandoon sa lagusan ng tubig. Tapos yung mga bahay nila yari sa mga yero. Nung bumaha, naanod lahat. May mga namatay. Yung mga nabuhay, anong ginawa? That same afternoon, nagtayo na naman ng same kinds of houses. Minsan yung barangay captain pa yung nagbigay ng mga yero kasi botante niya itong mga to eh. Tapos ganun ulit yung bahay. Tapos sasabihin, wow, ang resilient ng Pilipino. Kita nyo, within the same day, they're there again. Okay na naman sila. Resilient ba yun? That's not resilient for me. No, that's not resilient according to the Sendai framework. That's stubbornness. No, stubbornness until you die. No, so uulitin mo yung pare-parehong mali. Tapos hanggat buhay ka, ina-admire na. Kita nyo, natatawanan lang niya yun, pero andyan pa rin siya. So ang tanong, ano yung pagbabago na nangyari? No? The citizen and also the local government, it's not just the So halimbawa, baka dapat may solusyon na or merong ginawang pagbabago para hindi maulit yung exact same scenario na yun. Ang problem natin as a country, inuulit lang natin yung mga mali. Tapos pagka na-survive niya yung sakuna, wow, resilient siya. Hindi resilient yun. Resilient also involves change. It's about building back better. Diba? Parang yung sinasabi nga namin, mas mabuti pa yung resilient kaysa sa strong. Kasi may mga strong, pero pagdating ng problema, bumibigay, wala na. Or hindi natututo sa pagkakamali. So mas maganda yung matuto tayo. And then we apply solutions that will prevent the same situation in the future. So thank you. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Sir John. So, kailangan natin, guys, yung resiliency natin is kailangan yung katulad ng mindset ni Sir John, which is yung build back better. Dapat may resiliency tayo na bumalik, pero hindi lang yung, kumbaga, babalik, pero to be better than our past. Para lagi nating malalabanan yung mga challenges na dumadating para sa atin. So, sir, for another question po, in terms of solid waste, do you think yung mga fast food chains po, ready na po sila na i-encourage yung mga customers na magdala ng sariling lalagyanan ng meals po nila?
Okay, question number 6 is a good question. Okay, lahat ng questions ay good. Kasi yung question number 6, meron akong gusto i-share sa inyong karanasan ko sa Waste Management Committee. My answer to question number 6 is no, they are not ready. Especially sa panahon ngayon ng pandemya. Bakit? Kasi ang natuklasan ko, tinry namin to before yung mga bring your own baonan. It's a really good initiative para hindi na magkaroon ng disposable container. Ikaw na magdala ng sarili mong Tupperware o kung ano man. Natuklasan namin na kung stricto ang nagtitinda ng pagkain sa sanitation, hindi siya papayag sa ganun. Kasi posible na contaminated yung dala-dala ng customer. At dahil contaminated yon, lalagyan ng pagkain or kung ano man yung isoserve no, drink, magkakaroon ng problema lalo na pag may kumalat na sakit. So if you are a quality control person, you don't want that. No? Gusto mong siguradong pati yung packaging nang galing sa'yo at siguradong malinis. Tas walang sisihan. Kasi kung halimbawa, contaminated yung container ni customer, tapos nilipat doon, yung mga na-meet ko na quality control inspector, sobrang strict. Sabi nila, paano yung pangsandok ko? Kasi nilagay ko dun sa So na-contaminate ngayon yung pangsandok ko kasi yung baonan pala niya contaminated. Pag nag-serve ako sa ibang customer, I'm now serving contaminated food. So it's not sustainable. So that's the problem I handled nung nangyari tong bring your own baonan. Nabuksan yung mata ko na hindi pala simple yun na okay, it's a good initiative pero if it will be implemented, kailangan ma-factor in yung contamination lalo na ngayong panahon ng pandemya kasi baka mamaya may sakit na kumalat. So kung masusolusyonan yon, tingin ko magagawa yung bring your own nalagyan ng meals. Pero kung hindi, my answer to question number 6, I don't think the fast food chains are ready. Kasi kung ready sila, sa tingin ko may nakagawa na nito rin by this time, no? Ang daming mga fast food chains Pero yung mga talagang big time, I don't think they'll risk that sa contamination wise. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir John. Personally, ako, nagdadala talaga ako ng mga sarili kong baonan or best, huwag ka nang bumili at all. Ikaw na lang yung magluto. Pero na-open yung eyes ko na napakalaki talaga ng kailangan nating tignan. May mga factors pa pala na kailangan tignan. Hindi lang easy na magdala ka lang ng baonan ganun kasi may mga quality control na tinitignan yung mga businessmen. Kasi meron ring mga problems na pwede ring mag-cause when suggesting these solutions. So, sir, another question pa po. Personally, question ko to, di ko alam kung medyo ano tong tanong, pero considering ng mga lahat ng nangyayari sa country, hindi lang sa country, pero sa buong mundo, does running for a politician had crossed your mind?
running never. Okay, I feel really blessed sa teaching position dahil nakakausap ko kayo, no? Even yung mga hindi ko naging estudyante, naniniwala talaga ako na kayo yung pag-asa ng bayan. At medyo matagal na rin ako nagtuturo. I see some of my former students ngayon, mga piloto na. Okay, parang wala pa yata akong estudyante na naging politician. Pero parang napaka-blessed ako dito sa sa profession na to. But I do pray for our politicians. I understand na napakahirap ng sitwasyon nila. So dasal lang. Tsaka I try to avoid yung mga galit na iniisip ko na lang, hindi ko alam fully yung sitwasyon nila. So I'll just do my best dito sa profession na ito para hopefully magkaroon siya ng difference sa komunidad. Pero yung question, not running, never.
Thank you, sir. Last question na po. So, considering po sa mga lahat ng nangyari, we know na we have a contribution, maski student pa yan, or a young person, or a politician, or a teacher, kahit ano man po yan. Pero ang question ko po is, what is your message po for the future engineers? Kasi ngayon, sir, alam natin na there are a lot of students who graduated, like civil engineers, mga ganyan. And yet, nagpapatayo pa rin ng mga subdivision. They are supporting this kind of project. So, what are your message po for the future engineers?
Si Felicity, meron ding isa pang question ditong pahabol Subukan ko rin sagutin. Parang question number 7. Tapos siguro i-connect ko na lang yung answer ko dun sa question mo rin kanina. Kasi yung question 7 nakalagay dito, parang yung source ng basura na nag-clog sa mga drainage ng baha ay mga unnecessary items na pinoproduce sa market. When do we know if it's time to stop producing such items? Ang sagot ko dyan, may kinalaman sa sa discernment, no? Yun yung aking message para sa inyong mga future engineers. Sana hindi tayo nakarely lang sa galing natin, pero may puso din. Kailangan din yung pag-apply natin ng skills natin. Hindi lang tayo nakikinig sa utak natin, pero pati rin sa puso. Tinatanong natin, anong magiging impact ng decision na to sa komunidad natin? Sa short-term goals, pati sa long-term goals. No? Halimbawa, baka kumita ako ng malaking pera dito kaya gusto kong mapatayo tong subdivision na to. Tsaka ito naman yung trabaho ko Pero sana meron ka ring discernment dun sa, meron bang impact to dun sa long-term? No? Do I really want to be part of this project? So, in the case of question 7, halimbawa, may mga products tayo na nagka-clog ng drains. When do we know if it's time to stop producing them? Kung nangyayari na yung problema, it's time to stop it now. Pero kailangan ng solution. So, yung mga materials engineer, baka meron silang maisip na klase ng material na mas madaling mag-degrade. No? Yung mga ganon. So binuhos mo yung oras mo doon to create that solution. Kasi in your heart, na-feel mo na kailangan ng taong bayan ng tulong. Kasi malaking problema tong basura na to na nagka-clog ng drainage. So hindi lang siya skills-based at saka hindi mo lang iniisip yung sarili mong interest. Nagdi-discern ka din. Ginagamit mo tong galing mo for a higher purpose na hindi, makakatulong talaga to dahil sa ganito. O may ganitong issue na apektado So, kailangan siguro mas magandang desisyon itong isang direksyon na ito. So, may ganung sanang proseso.
Thank you, Sir John, for that answer po. So, narinig niyo yun, guys, yung mga nanonood dyan ng mga engineers. Kailangan may puso rin tayo sa pagpapagawa ng mga proyekto. Hindi lang puro support for the sake of our own money. Last question po, sir, as of now. Pero may question po ako. May naisip ka na po ba, like, kahit ano po, solution mo na imagination mo lang, or you think is a possible solution, like mga machines? May naisip na po ba kayong mga ganon to have, para masolusyonan po yung mga problema ngayon?
Ako, mahilig ako sa mga ganyan. Kinukwento ko sa mga mag-aaral ko yun Iba-iba wild yung imagination ko Halimbawa, dati nakaisip ako ng solution. Iniisip ko yung solution ng, halimbawa, what if meron kang machine na nakaka-sense ng gunpowder? Tapos yung gunpowder na yun, para kang may maliit na machine na nag-a-alarm. Pagka merong gunpowder within a 10-meter radius, tutunog yung alarm. So pag tumunog yung alarm na yun, baka ma-prevent nun yung mga hit and yung mga riding in tandem. Kasi para tutunog yung alarm na yun, at least aware ka na may bullet, may gunpowder nearby. So parang ganun. So ano pa ba yung mga minsan yung mga ganun, mga imagination lang baka meron kang ganun, tas later on mag-translate into technology. So at saka yung isa pa yung iniisip ko dati nung nag-start yung COVID-19, what if meron kang parang visual sensor that could detect the virus visually. Kasi right now, meron lang tayo thermal sensor. Pero ito, yung parang yung parang sa 3D, yung sinusuot sa mata, nakikita niya, yung signature ng virus. Yung mga ganun naglalaro sa isip ko. What if we can have that technology? So, hindi na kailangan yung swab testing. Visually, makikita mo na yung actual presence ng virus or traces of it. So, yung mga ganong ideas, magandang laruin. Later on, mag-translate siya into technology.
Thank you, sir. For me po, parang di naman imposible yung mga naisip niyo, sir, sa sobrang advance ng technology ngayon. So, it looks like we answered all the questions our viewers may have. So, thank you, Sir John, for giving us your time and sharing such uplifting and informative talk. Now, we would like to present you this e-certificate, and as a token of gratitude for making this webinar possible. This certificate is proudly presented to Mr. Gabriel T. Bilog in grateful acknowledgement and sincere appreciation for having served as a technical resource speaker in the webinar entitled Waterproofing Disaster Risk Reduction for the Rainy Season, given this 18th day of July 2021, held in the webinar live stream of PSSE News Facebook page. Signed by Engineer Wendell Alminor and Engineer Arsenio Adriano, PSSE News Advisor, and Ms. Katrina Tardecilla, PSSE News President. So again, thank you so much, sir. Wag ka muna po mag-leave. But before you go, baka po may gusto ka pang sabihin sa audience natin, any last message and encouragements po?
Okay, so gusto ko lang magpasalamat sa inyo sa PSSE, tsaka sa Mapua. And I hope that I'm praying for yung mga viewers natin ngayon. Sana stay safe kayo at vaccinate. Pakakuha na kayo ng bakuna soon. Kailangan natin magtulungan para matapos tong pandemya na to. So our only chance is if we get vaccinated. So hopefully soon para maka-herd immunity tayo. I pray for your safety dahil kayo ang pag-asa din natin. So huwag kayo susuko. Fight lang. Natatapos din to. Tsaka dasal mahalaga.
Thank you so much for those inspiring words, sir. We're very honored to have you today and grateful for the time you've given us. Ingat po always, and we hope to hear from you again soon. Wag muna po kayo mag-leave, sir. Okay, guys, that was a very fruitful and meaningful talk with Sir John, and we were very enlightened, and sana kayo rin from what he has shared, and sana may natutunan kayo and take it into action. But before we close this program, let's hear the closing remarks from PSSE News External Vice President, Ms. Miggy Arango.
Good afternoon to our guest speaker, Mr. John Gabriel T. Bilog, to PSSE MUSC community, to our advisors and professors who are watching us this afternoon, Engineer Wendell Alminor and Engineer Martin Corpus, to all our esteemed partners and to all our audiences who are watching this live stream, a pleasant afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to thank and congratulate our hardworking officers for working tirelessly behind the scenes for the success of this event. Thank you and congratulations for pulling off an event like this despite your busy exams. In behalf of PSSE MUSC community, we would like to express our heartfelt and sincerest gratitude to our awesome speaker for this afternoon, Mr. Bilog. Thank you so much, sir, for spending your time with us despite your very busy schedule. Thank you for the valuable knowledge and inspiring talk. We have many great takeaways from your discussions and we greatly appreciate the effort and passion that you put in to discussing relevant topics like this. We are very much honored to have you this afternoon. Also, we would like to express our gratitude to all our audiences who participated for this event. I hope that you guys have learned a lot as much as we do, and we hope that we use whatever we have learned to better prepare ourselves for future calamities and to establish true resiliency, not only in terms of individual fortitude, rather a type of disaster resiliency that we have developed through learned experiences and smart and science-based decisions. Finally, to our esteemed media partners, this event would not be possible without your help, so thank you very much. We look forward for more partnerships with you in the future. So I think guys that would be all, and I hope that you have enjoyed this event. So stay safe and have a great day.
Please don't forget to fill up the student evaluation forms and upload it on the post-event registration form together with the special code that should now be flashed below your screens. Again, you will be needing the special code and the filled up student evaluation form in accomplishing the post-event forms. The completed post-event forms will allow you to secure an e-certificate, and take note then guys that the distribution for the e-certificate will be more or less 2 to 3 days after our event. Both student evaluation forms and post-event forms are posted on the description box of this live stream. Take note that this form is only available until 11:59 p.m. So I think that's it for today. Once again, thank you so much to our speaker, our hardworking officers, to our media partners, and of course to all of you who are joining us this afternoon. Sana po na-enlighten po kayo to our future activities. Okay. This waterproofing webinar is co-presented by Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers Mapua University Student Chapter, Philippine Society of Sanitary Engineering Bicol Student Chapter. This event is in partnership with United Nations Youth Association of the Philippines Mapua University Chapter, and special thanks to Association of Geologists and Geological Engineers of Mapua, and Philippine Society of Sanitary Engineers, PSSEUC Student Chapter. Thank you very much. This has been a very fruitful day. Again, I'm Felicity Lujan Pablo for Waterproofing Disaster Risk Reduction for the Rainy Season. God bless and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.